And welcome back to the Edge television broadcast. Leaves little Steve Miller to bring us back. Might be coffee, might not. All right, on our Newsmaker line we have tonight our very first dual video broadcast with Stephen Benning and Matthew Stevens, and we actually have numbers of interviews with Matthew Stevens. If you scroll down to the Edge's website, you'll see the previous audio form, and of course this will be added tomorrow. If you've got a question for either Stephen Benning or Matthew Stevens, go to the EdgeAM.com website. You can join them in a live chat, or you can drop us a line there at the Edge's Fast Blast. Stephen and Matthew, I hope you guys are having about as good a time as I am over here, because this is a blast. Speaking of a blast, and welcome back to the program. And I guess I want to start with the question. We know things are happening. I think things are accelerating. Are we talking about some major event this year, or is it incrementalism? And I know I've asked you this before, but we've got to ask again, because things change. You might have an update for us.
Good question, Daniel. I hope you and Jamie are doing great tonight. Lord's blessing upon you and your wife. And I seen you pick up a cup of coffee over there, and we got to send you some of that organic coffee I grind up in the mountains up there. It's called Jeremiah's Pick, and get ready to have a cup of nice hot organic coffee, and God is about ready to send the fireworks upon the land of America like America's never seen before. I believe there's certain judgments that are still pending here that are coming to pass. So far since December on the first prophetic time clock, there's 3 final pending warning judgment clocks that are taking place right now. We're in the 3rd final pending warning judgment right now, which will go to September the 1st. We saw 3 earthquakes in June. At the beginning time frame, the first couple weeks of June, I think there was a 3.7, 4.7, and that at the end of the month, I believe there was a 5.7 earthquake or 5.4 earthquake, somewhere around there, that was just off the Pacific Northwest area, up in the Pacific Northwest, that took place. I believe we're going to see this large earthquake that's ready to hit very soon. I believe Turkey's about to see a large earthquake. Europe is about to see a large earthquake. America is getting ready to get hit with a large earthquake. We're about to ready to see this explosion take place. I believe that San Diego will still have an explosion very soon. I never named a date about San Diego, never have, and have not on any broadcast. But I do know that this explosion is going to take place in San Diego. I believe we're about ready to see a staged terrorist attack in America. And I believe we're ready to see a 7 times greater 911 event take place, 7 times greater. Now, I mentioned that, I think, last time. I'm not sure if we mentioned all the cities. But there are 7 cities that we're going to get hit that I see, and I see this as 7 times greater. But the 7 cities is New York, Washington, D.C., Florida, Phoenix, Arizona, San Diego, Seattle, and Detroit. And those 7 cities are going to be hit. I mentioned about 7 hurricanes, that many of those hurricanes are going to make landfall this year, play havoc up and down the East Coast and the Gulf of Mexico, the Gulf Coast area. Galveston, Texas, and Corpus Christi is going to get hit with a hurricane down through there. I just see it going along the Gulf and along the East Coast there. That's in addition to the later in time event that I see coming very soon after that, with the 12 eroding hurricanes up and down the East Coast. When this large earthquake comes that's about to take place, I believe that's going to hit America. I believe we're going to see 2 other earthquakes that will be set off with almost like a chain reaction, but they'll be set off in the timing. I'm not exactly how quick exactly sure how quick the time of those two other earthquakes come, but they'll be behind this earthquake that's coming, and that earthquake will set off in the Midwest and the East Coast as well. We have to understand, for the listeners that never heard this before, but America was founded in the East and pioneered in the West. So it was founded in the East first, pioneered in the West last. The Bible says that everything is first shall be last, and the last shall be first. Well, I believe that most of these judgments we're seeing with these California fires from October 2007 last year, and which, by the way, prophesied that the Lord spoke that word 15 years ago to me to declare that. I've waited 15 years for that prophecy to come to pass, which came to pass. A month before that came to pass, it began to declare that those fires were going to hit in October and that there would be an earthquake right behind that, which there was, a 5.7 earthquake in San Francisco on the third day after 2 days of the gays that came out and marched in America, and so in San Francisco, and in celebration of the SB 77 bill that Arnold Schwarzenegger passed the law. Anyhow, and so, there's a lot of things that are getting ready to happen here, folks. We're going to get ready to see these two double assassinations in American political figures. We're getting ready to see this Middle East assassination, and actually right behind that Middle East assassination, there will be one more assassination in the Middle East that will be right behind it. That will happen very, very soon. I've talked about this French president being assassinated, and already we've seen an attempted assassination on his life that took place over in Israel. So, yeah, there's a lot of things happening. There's a lot that's getting ready to be released prophetically. And I'm ready to see these aircraft carrier things that Stephen was talking about, that the Lord spoke to me about the four corners of the United States, about the 4 aircraft carriers, the Independence, the Enterprise, the Nimitz, and the George Washington. Those are the 4 aircraft carriers that I saw in the Spirit. I see that the Washington had a problem with the 25 men as it got burned, as it caught on fire. It was in repairs in San Diego shipyard area, in the Mission Bay area. And that, with that in mind, the Kitty Hawk kind of moved into its ranks and replaced it itself to go to Japan, out into the Pacific area, to deal with the maneuvers of the Pacific Rim Fleet dealing with North Korea, basically what it's about. We have deployed, I believe, at least 6 aircraft carrier groups around the world. I know that I think there's at least 3 or 4 over in the Middle East right now at this point. We have a couple more aircraft carriers over on the other side that went towards the Pacific side, heading towards Japan in that area, North Korea. And, we're about to see some major nuclear incidents and explosions take place. The carrier Nimitz is number 68. Double assassination that I talked about with the political American figures. In that year was 1968, was Bobby Kennedy and Martin Luther King's assassination. So, we're seeing some things come to pass here about a lot of things. I called the Alaskan Observatory Laboratory for volcano and earthquake activities quite a few months back here when the Lord gave me this phone number, and they asked me, how did you get this phone number? And I said, I'm just going to be straightforward with you. The Lord God gave it to me. I called the number up. A doctor answered up there, one of the scientist-type doctors up there in the laboratory, and said, this number is an inside number, and I don't see how you got it. And I said, I explained it to the lady how I got the number. And anyhow, I told her about a volcano in the Great Lakes. And I mentioned this volcano in Lake Erie area. Well, if you've been listening to the news in the last month or so, you've been hearing about the Great Lakes, how the waters of the Great Lakes have been heating up and evaporating, and they don't know why. Well, I'm here to tell you why. Is because, there's a volcano there. And I want everybody to understand that. My policy advisor told me that I've done a lot of good for this nation, and I watched many men travel around this country, and they've done a lot of good for this nation as well.
Okay. Let me ask you guys, Stephen Benning, you've seen Matthew Stephen smite. I'm assuming you were with him when he smited different buildings.